Arrow versus Flash. Part 2. I just got done watching the episode entitled The Brave and the Bold. Even though they stole this title from Batman, I'll let it pass because it's too awesome, it's too cool. I'll give them a pass. But this episode, as much as I liked the first crossover last night, this was so much better. I cannot believe how awesome this episode was. I loved it. I knew I would enjoy it just from the title alone. Because normally, like this season, it shows the letters Arrow and then it has the Chinese letters in the background. Well, this time it says Arrow and then it has a flash of lightning go right in the middle of it. That was just brilliant. But the beginning of the episode, we see Arrow and Arsenal working together. They're looking up Captain Boomerang. And I like this because finally Roy felt like an actual person that Arrow needed. He wasn't just there to be a hindrance. He didn't trip over his own feet. He didn't do something stupid to get knocked out like that. No, he felt like somebody who was there. He was almost like the Robin of the team. I like that. And then we see Caitlin and Cisco visiting Starling City. They go right to Felicity because I think Caitlin said she had some information about the research she was doing after Felicity asked her to look into the blood work from Black Canary's murder. And Cisco saying that he wants to see the Arrow Cave was priceless. And Felicity's reaction of saying, "We don't call it that." Alright? Even though I've been calling it the Arrow Cave since season 1. Is that bad? I like that this episode, for the most part, was almost all about establishing Diggle's and Lila's relationship. Because for so long, I've been wondering, what the hell are they? I know they used to be married. And I know that there was still some feelings there. But ever since they had the baby, it didn't really seem like there was anything there. I mean, I know they're, I think, living together, and they're obviously taking care of the baby, but it seemed like there was no affection between the two. I never really saw them kiss, probably since the time they conceived the baby last season. And I like that it was this whole thing on constantly saying she's not my wife, and because I wanted to finally figure out what they are. And then Captain Boomerang shows up. He shows up at where Lila works. And even though he, in the comic books, is a Flash villain, I love what they did with him here. How he used to be a part of the Suicide Squad, and he was able to break away. And he wants revenge on Lila, specifically, because she was the one who put the bomb in the back of his head, which I guess every Suicide Squad member has. And the whole episode was going after her, trying to kill her. I like this. I like that it made Lila more of a focal point of an episode, which is funny to say that we spent the most time with Lila this season, in this episode. But yet there were so many characters in this episode, it's almost hard to believe that. Now, the coolest thing in the episode, possibly, at least action-wise, was Boomerang versus Arrow and Arsenal. At the same time, he was fighting both of them. It looked so badass. I was pretty giddy while watching it. I had this huge smile on my face saying, wow, this, not only is this episode badass, but this whole show is badass. Look what they're able to do and accomplish on a TV budget. The action and the effects and the costumes. It's my dream come true as far as watching a superhero TV show like this every week. It's almost better than watching the movies and then having to wait years and years to see something new. No, this is weekly, and we get badass action like this. It was great. The Flash showing up to save Arrow, which was a nice contrast to the last episode when Arrow saved Barry. So that was very cool. And the Flash was hilarious in this episode. It's the funniest I've seen Barry be. I wish he was more like this on his own show, because between him fixing the Chinese food, or him doing the bar reps and basically saying that what's so hard about that, or him accidentally revealing his identity to Lila, not realizing that she didn't know who Flash was. He thought that Diggle told her. Whoops! And then the moment when he was standing right next to Roy in his Arsenal suit, and he said, "Hey, nice costume." Because their costume almost looks identical. Besides the hood, of course. But when I first saw Roy in this costume in the first episode, I said, okay, as badass as it looks, as cool as it looks a lot like the Flash's costume, and I wondered if they would mention that if they were ever together. And they did, almost the first time that they were together, so that was awesome. Now, I really like the dynamic of Barry not liking Oliver's tactics, how he, I guess, gets his information from criminals. And I like this more than I liked their conflict from last night's episode, because sure, I loved last night's episode, don't get me wrong, but the conflict that they had there was a little forced. It was at least manufactured by the villain to turn Barry, to make him act aggressive and act all that stuff out. We're here, it's just a matter of Barry looking at the Arrow and seeing everything that he does and how aggressive he is, and not liking it, not agreeing with it, and just having his own ideology in question against Oliver's rules and tactics. So I loved all of that. Sure, they could have done more with it, I admit that, but still, I liked it. Captain Boomerang proved to be a really good villain as far as when he tricked Arrow to taking the phone from that other guy. So then he basically was able to find out the location of the Arrow Cave. He tricked Arrow and Flash to leave the Arrow Cave. And then he went there and tried to kill Lila. And that surprised me in that I actually thought he killed Lila, which would have been heartbreaking. But I wouldn't put it past the show to do something like that. And then at the end of the episode, he had a plan B. He had 5 bombs scattered throughout the city. And it seemed like they wouldn't be able to get to all of them in time. And not only that, like the Flash wouldn't have been able to just do it by himself, because one bomb would trigger all the other bombs. So I didn't know what he would do. But I love what they did, because when they said that there was 5 bombs, and then they cut back to the Arrow Cave, and I see Roy, Felicity, Cisco, and Caitlin, I thought, okay, well, why don't any of you guys help out in some way? I mean, I know you're on the computers, I know that you're in their ear, I know you are helping, but this is where you guys could come in handy. And what do you know? That's exactly what the Flash does. He puts all of them at each and every spot of the bomb, and they all have to detonate it. Awesome. I loved it. And the end of the episode, Diggle proposes to Lila. Wow. So not only did I start the episode not really knowing where the relationship was, but by the end of it, they're engaged. Again! So, it's a little funny and goofy, but I like the fact that they're going to be an actual couple. We get a Slade Wilson mention when Oliver says that Boomerang is in the same cell where Slade is, so that's awesome. You know that Slade is coming back at some point, and I cannot wait for that. So guys, I love this episode. I thought it was even better than last night. In fact, it might be my favorite episode yet from Arrow or Flash. I loved it. We need more crossover episodes like this. And the part at the end where they left a mannequin there for Barry's costume the next time he's back in town, I thought that reassured me that something like this will happen again. So guys, next week is the mid-season finale for both shows. I cannot wait for that. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you saw this episode. What did you think of it? Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later!